Hey, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Another Friday and another episode of Sales and Marketing Fry Talks, where we share insights, best practices, and anecdotes from technology companies and B2B companies and any other who are in one or another way are related to the marketing and sales in the B2B. And so today we have a very interesting guest. Hando Sinisalu, the founder of the Marketing Parrot, one of the leading agencies, event agencies in Baltics, out of Estonia. And we invited Hando because the events and event sponsorship is something what every marketeer consider as one of the key tactics when it comes to the creating the audience, generating awareness, generating leads, and so on and so forth. And that is now back after the COVID, and we see more and more events happening, more and more companies organizing their events. But the question is, what the outcome of these events? And when we had just a brief conversation with Hando, he said, what happens that there are quite many companies who are kind of investing money to these sponsorships or to the events, but in the end they are coming out pretty frustrated about the outcomes. And the same actually with the audience who comes to these type of events, and then maybe they are not getting what actually they were expecting. So therefore we invited Hando to share from his 20-year experience what are these things what companies should do and should not do when it comes to the events organizing and organizing events and then sponsoring the events. So welcome, Hando.
Hello,
Welcome.
thank you for inviting.
Yeah, it's a big pleasure to have you here. And as I already introduced quite extensively this topic, I think we need just maybe to go right away into the conversation. And maybe let's start with your experience with the events. So you mentioned that it's over 20 years, but can you share a bit more about your journey? How did you
Yes.
started doing this, and how widely is this experience?
Yes, my background is in journalism. So I've graduated the university journalism department and did my master's degree in the US in the field of communications. And since then, I've been working as a journalist and editor and managing director of media companies. And then approximately 20 years ago, I was invited by my friends to join them in the events company. So basically, events and media are very similar, because if you think of yourself as an editor who actually is a curator of the program that audience would like or would benefit from, then there is not a big difference whether you are editing a magazine, inviting the authors to contribute, or if you produce a program for a conference where you also need to have contributors, authors, speakers who would present, and then your role as a conference producer then is to make sure that the whole thing actually works out well as a whole. So basically, how these different contributors align with each other, what would be the expectations of the audience, etc. And obviously, doing that, you also have basically two kinds of presentations in a typical conference program. Some of them are, very simply saying, some of them are the ones you pay for. So basically, you would find that an author or a speaker or a guru from somewhere, and you pay a speaking fee, and then you hope that the audience would like it. And then on the other hand, there are sponsors or companies who are interested in reaching the same audience and who are willing to pay money for that opportunity. So basically, as a participant, you would probably see on stage some speakers that are experts and the organizers have paid for, and then you would see also some speakers who represent companies who are sponsoring the event and actually have paid money to speak to you. So basically, and very often you very easily can make a difference, because everybody who has attended the conference, they probably have some negative experience with the speakers who try to sell them their products or services directly from the stage. And I have done these events. I have organized events in over 30 countries, mostly in Estonia, where I work with the biggest event company or media company, Aripäev, which is part of Bonnier Group. And with them, I have been working over 10 years, but also with the different partners from very different parts of the world, from Europe, from countries like Slovenia or Netherlands, from Asia, from countries like Malaysia and India and Indonesia and South Africa and Ghana. So the
Wow.
range is pretty wide. Yes.
Yeah, it sounds quite exciting, yeah, to probably be in all these places and have this experience of events. And but what interesting is that when I was preparing for this conversation, I also looked up for some statistics, and apparently most of companies, as I already mentioned, it's nearly to over 80% of companies actually, when they were surveyed, they said that they are planning to invest into different type of events and sponsorships in coming years, right? So that they really see it as a main channel for them. Same time, a bit less than that, but also very significant, like over 70%, 71, I guess, percent was saying that they are not getting what they actually were expecting in terms of the ROI from these events. Based on all this experience, what you just kind of mentioned, and these geographies, can you maybe mention what are the main reasons, on your opinion, why this is happening?
Well, there's one main reason, and the reason is that the companies just don't know how to do it. So basically, it's a lack of skills, lack of experience, and probably also it's expectation management issue in many cases. So basically, I would say that speaking at the event and being present in media, like a PR, is in a way very similar. And also these two methods of communicating are very much intertwined. So they are aligned with each other and they go together. So basically what is the biggest mistake? So maybe I would start what not to do is when you cooperate with some conference, and then you would send your sales guy or somebody who's responsible in selling your products on the stage, and hope that 30-minute sales pitch would generate leads, and then after the end of the conference you would leave the event with business cards or any other format of leads, and then a day after conference you can close the deals. So this is first of all, it's a wrong expectation. Then it's a very wrong format to do so, and the result would be that everybody is unhappy. The audience is unhappy because they are they got a bad presentation. Then the organizers of the conference are unhappy because the delegates gave a very bad feedback. And then obviously at the end of the day, the sponsor is unhappy because they paid money and they got no results. So this is something to avoid. Don't do that because this is not going to work unless there is an exception. Unless this is an event where everybody expects to be sold at. So, for example, if you manage to gather the audience who is really interested in your software or whatever product you're offering, and they are already, near the bottom of the funnel, or they are close to making a decision or choosing what product to buy, and they really want to know the features. Let's say if you want to buy a car and you are already, you have the money, you are in the final stage and you need to decide whether you want to buy Audi or BMW or Mercedes. Then obviously if these the representatives of these companies would come to you, and then you want to know everything. You want to test drive, you want to know all the features and specs, then you're interested. But if you're not in the process of buying a car and maybe you want to buy it in the future, you don't want to know all those features and specs, and because you are not interested at this point of time. And another statistics, I think it was published by LinkedIn Institute, is that in total, only 5% of the audience is ready to buy at any given moment, meaning that 95% of people you are approaching are not in the position of making the buying decision right now. So you need to influence them to become buyers. So you can't really sell to them. And this very often
Yeah.
applies to the conference audience as well. So if you are a speaker, you're a sponsor, you go to the stage, you see 100 people in the audience, then only 5 people maybe are willing to buy tomorrow. 95 people in the audience are not willing. And then if you bore them with your sales talk, they will leave unhappy.
Yeah, that's a very, very good and valid point. And we also were talking about this for quite long, and we are preaching the same, like that you need to recognize and you need to respect so-called this buyer journey, right? And if you do so, then your chances to be more efficient in marketing are way higher than you just go and try to sell to everyone. And yeah, it's very important. But when it comes to this kind of when you think that you come to this event and you have probably recognized that you want to use it more for building your brand, maybe, or maybe building a trust, what would be the best approach for preparing for such type of kind of event based
Well,
on your experience?
yeah, I would say setting the goals is the first thing, and then
Mm-hmm.
the most probable goal you are able to achieve is that you would show yourself and your company as an expert in the field. So
Mm-hmm.
you actually you build your brand, you become a knowledge leader, a thought leader, and I
Mm-hmm.
think this is the best way of or one of the best ways of building that thought leadership. So your goal would be to educate the audience, to offer them some value, and this applies to every kind of content marketing, being it speaking at the
Mm-hmm.
conference or blog article or podcast or whatever. uh, you have to deliver some value to the audience, and the value is not describing your product or reading the features list or whatever. So it's about helping your audience to solve their problems, giving them advice, and this is what you can do on a conference stage. And basically, if you manage to do that, if you offer that advice, if you are being useful and interesting for the audience, they would naturally come to you for more advice. And then when you already have this contact with them, if they trust you, then sometime in the future you may be able to sell something to them. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
measurable. You can actually, when you there's very often a question of that: what kind of goals should you set for speaking at the event? And the goals could be most of the event organizers actually monitor the feedback. Nowadays, it's done
Mm-hmm.
very often with some digital tools like Event App, but like we actually quite often do it also in the old-fashioned way with the printed feedback forms. And then one way would be to ask from the organizers, what was the feedback? Did the
Mm-hmm.
audience actually like my presentation? And the higher the points are, the better you have achieved the goal.
Obviously, yes. Mm-hmm.
Then the other thing would be, of course, the total reach, how many people you reached. But this is the kind of the physical event space is not the end of it, because uh, what clever companies do is that they can use, if your speaker is on the stage, very often, the setup is nice. There's a big stage, good lights, sound, everything is well done. So you actually might feel like a little bit like a rock star on the stage. And if this is recorded, then you can use this recording from that event
Yes.
later in your own media. You can actually, maybe if it's a 30-minute presentation, it's possible to even use shorter bites in social media. You can put it on TikTok or Reels or wherever, and a longer one on YouTube, on your own website, and you can actually reuse it many times. So also the photos from the event. Very often the professional event organizers have also very good photographers. So, for example, in my experience, actually the speakers, they really appreciate if you later share them the photos where they're on
Hmm.
stage, because very often these photos really look nice. They'll actually look, the photos look much better than the real thing itself.
Yes, yes.
Especially if the photographer captures the speaker with a relevant background slide. And another thing with the event photos is that very often the audience looks very bored, because nowadays people, they are maybe using their phones, they are not paying attention. And then there are some moments when they kind of wake up, when they do something. Maybe they
Yes.
laugh, maybe they applaud, or you as a speaker can even encourage them to raise their hand, or do something. And then these moments can be photographed or videotaped. And then this also shows you as a speaker being interesting and engaging with the audience. So these little moments you should also pay attention to. Then
That was a
yeah.
very good tip, what you just gave. So, guys, if you are on the stage and you see a photographer coming into the room, at that moment, you should definitely do something to attract more attention, to attract more emotions from the audience, so that when the photographer take a picture, that is recognized on the picture, and then afterwards you
Yeah,
can really
but
show that you're, yeah. I
yeah, but
think
you can
it's a
actually
very nice idea.
you can prepare that. You can actually talk. I would suggest to talk to the photographer beforehand and say, look, 5 minutes
Uh-huh.
after the beginning of my presentation, then I'm going to make a joke, and I hope my joke is funny and everybody reacts to it. So you can actually
Yes.
cooperate with the photographer, because it's not so easy to capture these moments, because they happen usually in very short time. Um, then we recently had a speaker from the advertising agency from Sweden in our recent conference, and what he asked to do was that he asked everybody at some point of the presentation uh, to turn on the flashlight of their
Uh-huh.
phone.
Of the phone.
Yeah, and do like that. So basically, we had almost 500 people in the audience doing like that.
Wow.
And then, of course, the photo of such thing, it looked impressive as a rock star on the stage. So these little things that look really good on photos and videos, you should prepare for that. Yes, Roland, I have a question.
Yes. Hando, I think you have quite interesting and also demanding job of being kind of curator, trying to balance in your conferences the interests of sponsors, the interests of public, right? And then you probably bring in some kind of a headline performers, headline speakers. But what would be your advice to, let's say, to starting and small companies and somebody who has a really good story? How should they reach out, let's say, to you? How should they pitch your story just to make sure that you hear them out and they have a chance to be, let's say, reviewed, and you can then decide does it make sense to invite them as a speaker to your conference or maybe not?
Well, it always helps to have some experience before, because what I've seen is that even in big companies, it's not so easy to find somebody who's a good speaker. So it doesn't have to
Hmm.
be. Very often, the best speaker is not the CEO or somebody on a C level. Sometimes it can be somebody whose job title is not as impressive, but he or she might be a very good speaker. So I think that this is the most important thing: is that the speaker must feel confident on a stage. The speaker must have some natural abilities to speak. Of course, it is partly it's like a gift or a talent, but you can definitely improve and learn it as well. So it helps that if, for example, if somebody would pitch me and I have seen the person on stage before and I liked it, then definitely it helps. And then all kind of video material is always good. So when I search for a speakers, then very often if somebody recommends me somebody, then I Google and then I search on YouTube. And very often when you see this recording on YouTube, you also get an idea if he or she would be a good speaker, because this video shows. and also the topic. So if somebody approaches me with unknown speaker, unknown company maybe, but if the topic is very relevant, then we can discuss together. And me as a program curator or producer, I also try to help. So very often what we do is that if the speaker sends me the slides, then we actually change something. So I'm giving some advice how to change the focus or maybe leave out. Because the biggest mistake everybody does is that, let's say if you have a 20-minute or 30-minute presentation, and usually the first slide is about the background of the company. I've seen people stuck to that slide for 15 minutes. So they tell the history of the company, and all the little details. So this slide's supposed to be 20 seconds, not longer, because people don't want to hear about you. They want to get some valuable advice from you. So this is kind of absolutely the most important thing, is that when you're on stage, when you get the stage time, you have a chance to show your presentation. Keep in mind that people don't care about you, your company. They only care about themselves. So your job is to help them to navigate through whatever problems they have and offer them advice. So don't brag about how good you are, your company. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very valid advice, and we also often mention the same to our clients and to the audience, especially when they are preparing some content or webinars. It's a very common mistake that people spend too much time talking about them instead of actually talking about the topic and sharing the knowledge, right? And they miss the opportunity because time is limited. The attention span of the audience is very, very short. And if you are not catching their attention at right time, at right moment, you are not able to keep it. And then they, turn to the phone, or just in the worst case scenario, just leave the room. And
Right.
that's it. Yeah. You also mentioned that you was running those events or participating in events in over 30 countries. And very often our companies, like companies from smaller countries like Latvia, Estonia, Baltics, and even in Europe in general, they are looking for, being present in bigger countries like the US, the UK, and maybe Asian markets, China, and so on. And when they go there, they suddenly face some different reality. And in some cases, it's more visible and it's much more different, and some are not. But based on your experience in such a wide geography, what could you maybe advise and share as maybe even some funny stories in terms of those cultural differences, what we need to take into consideration while preparing for such events?
Well, I would say when it comes to audiences kind of resistance to sales pitch, then Baltic countries are leading the world. I would say countries like Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, audience, they completely hate if somebody starts to sell something from stage. Even very short slide about the background of the company, you already get on the feedback forms somebody's comments about how bad it was. And bigger markets, so when you go to the UK or US or Germany, then there people are more tolerant towards sales from the stage. So actually in those countries, I've seen really top people from top companies in the world doing quite heavy sales pitch, and the audience is not leaving. They are there, they are applauding. So and I think my theory that is that in our countries like Latvia and Estonia, people have very limited respect towards high position people, because the prime minister, you can meet the prime minister in the Rimi after work, waiting in the queue to buy some milk, literally. Or you most likely went to the same school together with another minister or president. So the kind of the difference between ordinary people and those top people, government people or managers of the companies is non-existent. When you go to a big country like US, then you see huge differences. So if you're a top CEO of a global company or a government minister, then you are, like a god. You are on a completely different
In a
sphere.
different league, yeah.
Absolutely. And then actually people are more tolerant. So if you are then selling from the stage and you're a CEO of, I don't know, Microsoft or Google or whatever big company, then everybody, because the fact itself that you are in the same event together with that top guy is already important. So this leads us to this fame factor. And, coming from a small country like Latvia or Estonia or Slovenia or Malta or any other, I would say that our business people should leverage more our government people, because in very many cultures, especially in Middle East, in Arab countries, also in China, basically many big markets. If you manage to be together with somebody with a kind of impressively sounding job title, like vice secretary or minister of some affairs, that helps. So basically, even sometimes I would suggest to try to pitch some sort of a panel where you can be together with some top official from your country, and then pitch the event organizers this way. And just to give you an example, I was recently, last December actually, I was attending the COP climate conference in Dubai, and this is like the really top event of the world with heads of state of many countries, and I think they had like 70,000 people there. And I was also moderating some panels in Estonian pavilion there, and basically, what happens there is that at some companies, even traditional way of thinking would be that the more people you have in the audience, the better. So you have maybe 1,000 people in the audience, great success. You have only 10 people in the audience, no success. But in the B2B world, or even business to government world, the big numbers don't matter. The quality matters more. And very often what I saw there was that the conference room was pretty much empty, maybe like 10 people in the room. But then some business people managed to be in the same discussion panel with some very important people from the government or European Commission or whatever important organization. And the fact that they were in the same panel really helps to build relations for the future. So it's like an icebreaker. If you are in the same panel with somebody you want to build relations, it always helps because you spend some quality time together, preparing the event, being on stage after event, and then you get a lot of you get a very good video and picture material. So maybe even if the hall was almost empty, the pictures also show that you were together on stage with some important person. You can use those pictures later in social media. You can use the video later in YouTube, on YouTube or any other channel. So this is a completely different aspect. How you can basically, you can say, our CEO was speaking at the world's biggest event in Dubai, COP28. Nobody knows if there was one person in the room or 10,000. It shows the level that you are in the same league. You are in the world's most important event. You are in the same league with some other people, and this material can be used for PR. In the future, and it's very helpful. So you need to think in a very clever way, and actually being in the same panel. And this is a very good way of combining sales, communications, and marketing. So, for example, if let's say you are an advertising agency manager and you are interested in a big client, I don't know, in the Baltic countries, it can be like a Swedbank or Telia or any other. a very good way would be to, if you're sponsoring the event, maybe to arrange the panel that you, as an advertising agency head, you would be in the same panel with top clients like Swedbank, Telia, many others. And then maybe the main benefit out of this event is not that you get leads from the audience, but maybe the benefit from the event would be that you actually break ice. You build relationship with those other people who are in the same panel, and maybe sometime in the future you can do business with them. So if you are thinking of the events, then being alone on stage is only one option. Maybe sometimes it's even better to arrange a panel and being on stage with the people you want to build relationship with in the future.
Yeah, so these were really valuable insights. Even I learned also quite a lot from you. So thank you for sharing. Maybe before we wrap up, could you maybe share your thoughts on what waits us in terms of these events? How do you see the future of the events and event sponsorship, considering all the changes, and especially the emergency between digital and physical, and how do you see in very short, like, what should we prepare for?
Yeah, during COVID, most event organizers were really worried. They thought that this digital events will kill the physical events, but it didn't happen. Vice versa. After COVID, people were even more interested in getting together. So this was a myth. The other thing, actually, what I see mainly in Europe is that even many speakers refuse to fly. They say that the carbon footprint is big. So if they cannot travel by train, they are not coming. So and this is actually a trend I see also in some big event companies are pitching, saying that look, when you choose the event location, choose the place where the train connections are the best. And obviously these places are not Estonia and Latvia. They are even not Portugal or Finland. So so it has to be Germany or Netherlands or in any place with a good train connection in the center of Europe. So this could be in the future a challenge for event organizers from small countries in the edges of Europe. Then another trend I see is that the kind of the hybrid model. So in the future, the event probably would be that there's a physical event where people on stage. This event will be broadcasted, so many people can see live on video. Then you can later watch these videos. Then the content from this event, the speeches, will be published in the form of another small clips, long clips, text, podcast, audio. So you see a lot of integration. So when planning an event, think outside the conference room itself. So there are so many other ways of reaching even bigger audience by other means. So I would say that this is probably the biggest trend.
Very good. So thank you for sharing. And maybe before we kind of say goodbye to each other and to our listeners and those who joined us live, you are organizing in Baltics probably one of the biggest B2B marketing conference very soon. Could you maybe share a little bit more details on that, and what shall we expect from that?
Yeah, we have in Tallinn on 4th and 5th of June, we have the B2B conference. It's a 2-day event, and for the first time in a history, we also give out marketing awards for B2B, not only campaigns, but marketing strategies as well. So most of the advertising and marketing awards are about B2C, or at least the winners are for B2C. Because it's quite impossible to compare, let's say, the ads for ice cream or beer with ads for computer software or cleaning service or whatever. So this is unique B2B marketing competition at that conference, and at the conference we cover both marketing and sales topics. And we have speakers from Baltic countries, Sweden, UK, Romania. So it's a pretty wide range. So we have over 20 speakers, 2 days, and we expect almost 200 delegates from all over Baltic countries to Tallinn. So check the program on the website.
Great. Thank you. We are definitely recommend considering coming to this event, and moreover, myself and Roland, we will be there as well. So guys, if you interested to talk to us and to many other experts, really highly recommended event for this beginning of the summer, right before you go for the vacation.
Yes, hopefully the weather will be nice too.
Yes, we also are looking forward to it. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Thank you for such an interesting, story and insights you shared with us, and also a very practical, I think, recommendation that everyone who is planning to be part of the upcoming events can definitely leverage. I think they are very useful. Thanks for this, Hando. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everyone who was with us today. I just want to quickly remind that if you are interested to get more insights, you're always welcome to follow our company webpage and LinkedIn profile page. Just go and search for IBD Consulting. We also have a special hashtag on LinkedIn available for this FryTalk episode, so that you can find them all and scroll back and see. There were already over 50 plus different episodes with speakers who shared a lot of interesting stuff. So feel free to subscribe to our podcast version of these conversations on platform of your choice. So thank you for being with us. We are looking forward for our next conversation. Then wish you just a great Friday and wonderful weekends. Thank you very much for being with us this Friday.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.